Are heating up here at the Crucible here for HGC as Scythe Esports just casually 5-level leaded Simplicity. Some of the most veteran players in the entire game. BlizzCon champions to boot in there. That is not an easy feat, and I am so impressed.
We talked about recovering from mentality after game number 1 in reference to Scythe Esports because they actually went down quite hard with a composition that they love. Now, it's in the opposite side. Like, how do you snap back from getting 5-leveled like that? That was a massacre.
Yep. They just made it look so easy and calculated. So, about to find out what the third map will be for this series. Because honestly, we could talk about the game for a while. It was impressive, but we're going to be going to the Sky Temple. Scythe Esports with the pick here. And
I love it. You know, Scythe, they play super well on this map. We've seen so much of their drafts on this map. You know, they'll play the Abathur, they'll play Illidan, they'll play pretty much any of their standard Scythe Esports style compositions on this map. And they also love that, as we were discussing, you know, ETC style as well. They love the global, they will macro you. Simplicity needs to make sure that that sort of thing doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, we've saw two very different openings, you know, when it comes to the compositions for Simplicity. Game 1, they opened with the Arthas, which was interesting. Game 2, they went for the Task Rainer right out of the gates.
Yeah.
And naturally, they're really playing with the hyper-sustain style. You know, that composition had the Tyrael, had the Tassadar, had the Stukov. Mega sustain.
Yeah.
Game 1 was Lucio Uther. Do they stick to that style or mix it up here?
We will see. We saw the map ban from Simplicity onto Cursed Hollow, but you honestly have to choose one of the two because the two most win rate or highest win rate maps for Scythe Esports have been Cursed Hollow and Sky Temple, both sitting at the 91% win rate for this team, which is huge, right?
But
and that's
they already lost in Curse though.
Yeah.
So.
Or sorry, the pick was Cursed for Simplicity. Yes, you're absolutely right. Not the ban. But yeah, exactly. You know, and Scythe got their comp, so this is certainly one that Simplicity can just snap back with. We are seeing that Abathur ban. I would say stronger on Sky Temple than Cursed Hollow. Well, maybe not stronger, but just as strong.
Yeah, so powerful. I mean, just the fact that the Mule can shut down most of a temple is problematic in some situations, but Medivh does get through and is snap picked here for the side of Simplicity.
Interesting. If there's any team I feel that knows how to play against the Medivh or the Medivh masters themselves, we are seeing Whitemane and Yrel locked in, but this is the first Medivh of our casts.
Yes, it's been banned every single game yesterday and today thus far for NA at least. Don't know about you. Regardless, Yrel and Whitemane has been a pretty common pairing for that second pick opener. All right. For good reason.
What's it going to be, Simplicity? They go with the Dahaka and the Arthas. Honestly, the Arthas looked really, really good, especially against the likes of Azeratul, which Scythe Esports, of course, they've run it in both games now, so they love to play it. We'll see if they decide to go against it or use it against the composition that Simplicity is starting to run right now.
I think this is super smart because you have the Medivh, so you don't necessarily need that Lucio to get you in there. Arthas is that soft ban on Illidan. We know Illidan can be a pseudo-global, and it's something that definitely can be played by Scythe Esports.
And as well, Simplicity have a draft that actually can chill on the boss point very, very well.
Yeah.
You know, no pun intended there with the Arthas, but seriously, he's one of the best heroes that you put him on the point, he pops his heroic, and he just hangs out for a really long period of time. And on this map, there is only one boss point, and a lot of times the games are dictated by these boss plays, so we'll see if that ends up coming true here. Vala and Tassadar are locked in for Scythe Esports. So much healing and defense from this comp.
Yeah, this is very sustain heavy. Taking a page out of Simplicity's book. We've obviously seen a little bit of this. Yesterday, Psystorm played a lot of Vala, a couple games. But yeah, looking at the support situation, they have a lot of options here. They could just go for the Deckard if they want to be neutral, but
they could run that.
I'm curious if we can do Malfurion.
Lucio
they banned the
well.
Genji. They do go Lucio, okay.
And the only reason why I said Lucio over any of those other options, because I think the options that you mentioned were just as good, if not better, is because they have the Arthas. And we've already seen them want to run it with the Arthas. And we talked about those kind of things that happen between Arthas and Lucio. Arthas, not a hero with high mobility, so if you have the ability to speed him up, his value just increases, and there we go. Got the ETC.
That will be their off lane and their global in a lot of situations. Naturally, Yrel very good as the off lane as well. But Yeah, this is something Simplicity should be very well aware of. We've seen them do this a ton throughout maps like this in Cursed Hollow. Stage Dive becomes that resource to be able to get in there, but also just getting onto the back line for White Main, it's a good way to just kind of force the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, both of these drafts are looking good. Of course, again, having that stage dive, if you want to go into it, you can match the Dahaka, so the global isn't only on one side, and you have the Urel as well to tank up a lot of that damage on the front line. So both of these drafts are looking really good right now, but the big question mark, of course, we haven't seen him yet, is this Medivh. Always a huge problem no matter who you are. Medivh changes the dynamic of the game completely, being able to portal you into places that you otherwise wouldn't be able to reach, having those shields as well.
I'm actually really terrified for the guys at Scythe, because you got to worry about stage dive, you got to worry about portals, then Greymane having infinity options to just dive in at you and get out at his leisure. It's going to be very oppressive, I feel. If the Greymane is playing hot, I don't know who's playing it just yet, maybe K1 Pro, it's hard to deal with.
Absolutely agree. We will see if Scythe Esports have the ability to deal with this Medivh composition in this game number 3, ladies and gentlemen. You want to introduce the left side here for us?
We got Hosty coming in here. He's going to be playing that Medivh K1 Pro on the Greymane, Tiger JK on Lucio, Zuna playing the Dahaka, and King Caffeine on Arthas.
On the right, in red, Zanehyde on ETC, Nesper on Vala, Zergling playing Urel, Nintori on Whitemane, and Talking Trees playing that Tassadar. This is Scythe Esports.
Explosive game number 2 for Scythe Esports. I mean, putting a number on the board with pretty much as convincing of a fashion as you can. But Simplicity kind of going back towards that game 1 strategy. This is very similar. Obviously, they had a good game on Cursed Hollow. It's a similar type of macro on this map. However, I feel like their composition going up against a very late game style of the Abathur Zeratul just felt way better in the early game and netted them that big lead. And in this composition, I don't think that's quite the case.
ETC hanging on to that level 1 talent, not willing to lock it in quite yet. So far, Simplicity, when you have the Medivh, you usually have the rotational advantage, not only just because you have so much vision of your opponents, but also you can use those portals to get from one lane to another. Of course, we're not seeing the ladder here, but Simplicity just starting out with those rotations real strong.
Already 5 stacks for Medivh, working on that quest.
Instant bruiser start here from Simplicity as well. We know this strategy when you have the Greymane, or honestly any early game push heroes, where you just take the bruiser camp, you try to get onto that top wall, pair it with that top temple, and you get a lot of snowball potential during the early game. Block Party picked up for the ETC, so being able to stop those autos coming through from the Greymane, from the likes of the Arthas as well. I think that's a wise choice here.
Opting to stall this camp out a little bit, leaving Arthas around the point. They're going to see their opponent's cap there very soon and probably just respond with their own and be able to push out there. Greymane could go for the Giants. Looks like that is his pathing right now. Kind of get that multi-lane pressure.
Talking Trees having that dimensional shift forced out, but he's going to be all right. I don't expect him to get soloed by a pre-stack Medivh here.
Urel jumping in on the bottom point, trying to steal it off the Greymane. As K1 Pro does take a bit of damage, but Zuna rotating up, has the drag. Whoa. Big damage coming in here as Zergling overextends by himself and pays with his life.
Very odd for Zergling to be doing something like that. Usually a extremely calculated player, but that one was just a miscalculation entirely. You know, seeing members of Simplicity being so close to be able to rotate, that's a, you know, it's not a huge problem, but still, you got to make sure you're not making mistakes like that, because if you see, you know, 2 or 3 of them, sometimes that costs you the game, especially against HGC teams.
Yeah, and now this is ended up being a very different rotation. We thought this Night Camp was going to be used for the Siege, but they ended up using it defensively to help defend the opponent's side push. Getting that kill on Urel on the bottom. Didn't really lose too much experience on the side of the Scythe Esports, but Greymane now making his way up to the top. K1 Pro wants to get some more damage in here.
Pretty equal bruiser trades, to be honest. You know, not a whole lot done on these top walls. Teams are very aware of this strategy, so the defense is usually 3+1 in defense on the top side. Meanwhile, Urel again just double soaking mid and bottom. Same with this Dahaka.
Yep, they're just matching each other. Greymane going and trying to force that D-shift onto Tassadar on the bottom right side. He is very low, has the well to tap. But now they're going to get some progress here on the point. King Caffeine stepping up to the plate. Looks like we have 16 stacks of the Arcane Rift for Medivh right now. Not bad at all. That's pretty good.
Really wants to get that one done without dying, and of course the opposite is true for Scythe Esports. If they can pick off Medivh before those stacks come through, that is a huge shutdown. Zainhide taking a little bit of damage, but very honest early game here. Just the trade in temples, top and mid. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah. As we see level 7 being picked up for Simplicity.
That extra range here for the Grey Mane.
I
like that. You can stay away from the power slides of Zainhide because, of course, he's the player that will find you, and if you get caught out, that can be huge trouble. Now a little bit of a skirmish for mid. Scythe don't want an even trade on this temple, so they wanted to skirmish a little bit, but not able to find too much here.
Kind of
even that is.
Yeah. It's kind of a power spike right now for Dahaka, though. I think there's a lot more power just being able to reduce the cooldown of the drag. So I don't think there's quite the same kind of power spike on this side of Scythe Esports.
I feel like Scythe's real opportunity is going to be with the next temple phase being, of course, the solo bottom side. You get those longer fights, which is where the Vala, obviously her damage ramps up quite well, and then you have the almost infinite sustain of the White Mane if you play it properly. Zergling as well going to be able to provide armor for his teammates, but same thing with Simplicity. If they're able to get, you know, a sustained fight, they can get those stacks on Medivh even faster. Of course, if Medivh doesn't even have those stacks done by now, Hosty's doing such a great job sitting at 30 right now.
Yeah, Zergling just jumping in the way he did is just feeding Hosty those stacks for his Medivh. He does have to be careful, though, because Nesper diving in deep, getting the shield in onto Tiger JK, making Lucio safe. Cap taking a lot of poke as well. This siege camp does tear through the entire wall with this push.
I love it. 3v3 in the bot lane. There was a 2v2 in the top lane. Now just these kind of off-laners in the Grey Mane and Tacit are represented mid. Just going to be able to clear out those waves as well. And just these teams, they're skirmishing, but nothing happening. Only one kill so far on the side of Simplicity. And again, I got to reiterate, I really feel like this game is going to open up over this next objective. Portal.
Hosty did finally miss one of his Qs. He's at 37 right now. The portal going in. Big damage with Arthas in the rotation. Dahaka coming in the drag on Vala, and that is one dead Vala. We do see K1 Pro cleaving on in. Zergling gets the knockback on Hosty, but that's a double kill from their aggression. Not working out. A little bit overextended.
Not able to respond there. ETC still represented in the top lane, which again indicates that stage dive, which we anticipated in the draft. And Scythe Esports stepped up way too far there. Vala was just kind of caught out completely. Portal was fantastic. Collapse of Simplicity was beautiful. And they get a lot off of that. Even just like starting this bottom wall, because there's channeling, this means it's going to be able to pick up a fort for themselves, which just snowballs themselves a whole bunch in XP.
Yeah, it's going to really even up the situation in the bottom lane, give them a ton of experience.
Stage dive is available.
Something they got to be careful about.
Some posturing from both of these teams. Now Scythe Esports able to take this temple, which again, same sort of condition, is on bottom side with no wall, because Scythe, in their overextension, took that wall completely. So they basically get the exact same thing here, which is fantastic for Scythe Esports. Simplicity got very little off of that because I believe the Brush Shocker wasn't available right at the very beginning because it was spent for that kill.
They also seem to be playing hyper passive with the Medivh right now. They just don't want to concede the progress that's been made. Only 2 more Arcane Rift stacks needed, and we just haven't seen him willing to commit to any kind of poke with it. Stage dive, of course, one of those big hard engage options. Polybomb is going to be one of the responses available.
Scythe taking that first fort, of course. Bruiser Camp pushing in for Simplicity, going to be matched by Scythe Esports right now. I'm just waiting for this Q to come through from Medivh. Only 2 stacks needed. Temple's now spawning, going to be mid and bottom side, so double temple phase moving forward.
Invading on the bottom half, looking... okay, I thought they were going for the camp. The 3-man invade onto the bottom fort.
Good rotate.
And that's Arcane Rift completed at 7:53. Yep, they're going to get a free fort for this. Just about, but Zainhide still has that stage dive. He's in this lane.
Yeah, the wave's cleared out now, so King Cap started tanking that one. Now the minions just showing up, and because that minion wave was so far away, not able to get anything more, here comes the stage dive.
All right, disengaged perfectly there from K1 Pro to get out of harm's way, but Tiger JK caught by the power slide himself. Rain of Vengeance stacking him down, but big Shield coming in from Medivh. Tiger does get hit by that last auto attack of Vala, picking up the kill.
Nesper getting that kill, and Scythe Esports, what did they decide to do with this 20 seconds down on the support? And it looks like they want to force onto this boss. There is no leyline seal available for Simplicity because they did elect to choose the Polybomb instead. So Scythe Esports, off of that single kill, because they had such a heavy rotation to the bottom lane, means that they get this boss.
That's absolutely huge. I mean, we're seeing some good soak and some mid fort going down and small, you know, victories happening for Simplicity, but there's no fort in the way of this boss, and it will be contesting the bottom keep.
I love the speed at which Scythe Esports made that choice. It was instant boss play. Now they've got Zainhide on the bottom cap here. Everybody else mid 15 seconds on this stage dive. So Zainhide can just join the fight right now. Brushstalker coming through. Zainhide actually does have to be careful. There goes a Howling Blast. The isolation does land. Does he have the drag? Zainhide trying to dodge the drag. Actually manages to do it. Zainhide, you legend, but he's still going to go down here.
Yeah, unbelievable jukes there, just missing both the drag and the Howling Blast. Not ideal. Takes them a little bit longer than they wanted to get the kill, but they pick it up, allowing them to gain control of the bottom lane. But we do see the mid-tempo going completely to the side of Scythe Esports. The boss tearing through this entire wall, definitely earning themselves a strong experience lead and situation to possibly tear down the top keep as well, or the top keep wall. That's big.
We were admiring No Tomorrow for the speed at which they responded to deaths on their team, and we're seeing the very same thing here happen with Scythe Esports. Their ETC died, but immediately they go mid, take that fort, and push up onto this keep wall.
Arthas cannot be here, so K1 Pro diving in pretty hard right away. I mean, knowing he has the tools of Lucio and Medivh to help get him out, still a little bit greedy considering the fact that they would be without their main tank.
Stage dive is available, and as you mentioned, tank was represented bottom lane, so Simplicity do have to be careful here, though they do have the portals to get in and out of these engagements, so likely not going to be anything too crazy happening on the top side of the map. Scythe now just walking away from this one, going to be clearing mid. Simplicity picking up their siege camp.
Very even game right now, though.
Yes.
When you consider just the way the structures have collapsed, it's pretty much dead even. 16 to 16, more or less, and yeah, Simplicity now kind of getting their composition and their positioning back in line. Dahaka going to the global lane, and the rest of the team more or less together, looking to keep eyes on and control the rotations a bit better.
16's so close. Just going to be coming through here in just a moment. Next objectives are going to be mid and top side. And so far, it has been a game of how these globals are used, which is absolutely fantastic. Stage dive on one side, Brushstalker on the other. And it all just matters who sets up the map better for themselves, who finds that global engagement and the numbers advantage fight.
16's a big level for these teams, though. Lucio's effective power goes up greatly at this point. Greyman's going to hurt real hard.
Talking trees as well on that Tassadar. Having W, of course, stacked, has the Psionic Echo now, so double cast on that ability. Adds to the wave clear, adds to his damage within team fights. So that's huge as well for Scythe. Simplicity. I want to see them get one of those just big blow-up combos with the Polybomb. So far, we haven't seen them find it yet just because of the nature of the macro on this map, but they have the ability to do it. You know, you've got this Medivh portal, just like instant CC and blow-up combination, or even off of a drag or something like that. It's a huge play that Simplicity can make. It's just they haven't been able to find it really yet.
Yeah, the fact that they could also double silence too, isolation plus polybomb, like that's it's base. I mean, isolation's basically a silence. Works out nice for them in a lot of situations, but now they're looking at the top lane. ETC trying to force him back, trying to get him to use that stage dive. Howling Blast does connect, Polybomb going out as well. Huge damage going in. Greymane finds the kill. A beautiful rotation for Simplicity.
As if on cue. They get the poly, they get the Greymane blow up. One shot onto Zainhide, and he has to be so much more careful. This is the second time Portal comes through, Jake.
Howling Blast on Nesper. Zergling has the leap to back up, get away. Dahak, I believe, used the Brushstalker?
Perhaps he did. I believe it was also just maybe the rotation up top, but at this point, Zergling just taking a bunch of damage. Brushstalker is available. We're seeing some pings come through, but nothing yet. Perhaps he's just saying, this is where I want to go.
Yeah.
But Simplicity, we were talking about the play that they needed to make really to push themselves into an advantage here, and we saw it right there. Instant portal, poly blow up, that's what they got to do. They found it. Can they find more?
Re-engaging on the point, even without that HGC, but Stage Dive is already, and he's just respawned. Ardent Defender being used from URL. Stage Dive, a little bit safe from positioning there, not overcommitting to a dangerous spot, as Polybomb could, of course, lock him down immediately.
No keeps down as well. I respect it. You know, Scythe didn't really need to find anything too hard there. And you don't really want to risk something like that, given these circumstances of the stage dive, just to get ETC back on the map. And that's a relatively low cooldown. Only 50 seconds remaining. Of course, that's going to be available for the next temple phase.
Boss is back up. Both teams just kind of grabbing their giant camps, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. Tassadar with Oracle, Medivh being a bird. Obviously easy to do that.
Urel's heroic. Far away. 75 seconds on that Ardent Defender, so we're going to see Scythe try to stay away from some fights for the next little bit. Simplicity, probably quite aware of this one. Walking in with this Medivh to try to find something. Next temple, solo top.
Yeah, that could be dangerous for both sides. It would get a keep if it's one-sided.
Yep.
And naturally, the experience lead for Simplicity could become a problem for Scythe Esports. They're going to have to concede a decent part of that, considering they're about a half level behind at the current pacing of things.
Over rotations and boss plays are also a very realistic opportunity here for, honestly, either of these teams. We'll see if that one happens. But yeah, the biggest point that you just made is the fact that Simplicity is well on their way to 20 before Scythe Esports. So Scythe, they need to try to find something, but there's nothing structurally that they can pick up. So it's just soak at this point. And honestly, the same condition exists for Simplicity as well, but being ahead means that, you know, they're in a much better position moving into this temple phase. 30 seconds spawn time, top side of the map. What's Scythe's move?
Right now we're seeing Scythe really just try to trick them into committing towards the boss, but at the same time they're missing some experience in the top lane. They desperately need that experience to match level 20, but there is some experience being missed there by Simplicity in the bottom. So it's still fairly even when it comes to the rate of the soak for these teams, but obviously the boss has been abandoned. No forced fight pre-20 just yet.
Right now, Scythe Esports able to step up onto this point is Zergling. He's going to get everything channeled for his team for the first little bit, and as we mentioned, this is a keep play for either of these teams, so they really do want to contest this one. Stage dive coming through.
All right, hitting 3 members. Polybomb goes out immediately with the portal as a resource to get them away, but King Caffeine does end up getting picked off here, isolated during the chaos going through. Beautifully done.
Wow.
No Dahaka even present for that fight.
What a fantastic play by Scythe Esports. Not only was that stage dive a huge tool, it looked way too deep, but what it did was force Simplicity's backline back even further, and the portal simply could not reach Arthas. So King Caffeine was just stuck up top there, and there was nothing that the members of Simplicity could do. Scythe Esports collapsed on the Arthas. They get a kill.
We're all being collapsed on here in the mid. That we do see that's going down quite quickly. No stage dive available right now. They were positioning near the boss. Zergling has the Ardent Defender off cooldown. Going to be able to use that to retreat, but the boss could still be decided to start here. 30 seconds on stage dive.
Another keep so close to being going down here for Scythe Esports. That play was absolutely massive.
Oof.
Not only did that get them kills, of course, it got them the top keep, but gets them the second keep in the mid lane and starting out on the bottom side. Simplicity, however, they do have the availability to have those soaked with the Dahaka because they have the global. So being down these keeps, while the catapults probably won't pressure the core, that's still bad on this map because the objective targets directly onto structures. Scythe Esports are putting themselves in a victory position here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've taken the experience lead. Both teams do have level 20, however. We do have Polybomb improved, Hunter's Blunderbuss here. Big damage opportunity for K1 Pro if there's any clumping done whatsoever, and Arthas will do his best to help make that situation a reality for the team. But it's not going to be easy to bring things back down to keeps. Next temple will be a double temple phase, and if they can't contest both of them, they're losing their final keep.
My eyes are on Zuna here with that Contagion, the level 20 choice for Dahaka. Can make absolutely massive plays, especially in closed off areas. We'll see if they can find those win conditions here. Scythe Esports are definitely ahead in this game. Bottom is the collapse. Medivh just scouting out every move that Scythe makes.
Perma-scout duty. It's very frustrating to have to play against that because you can't ever look for a sneaky boss or anything. You just have the constant map hacks of Medivh flying above you, but they are committing an entire hero's existence towards watching you.
I see it as well. Scythe Esports, this is such a bold move to start this one out. Not willing to spend that Twilight Archon just to start chipping away.
Yeah, they're just forcing the positioning of Simplicity, making them stay in this general area, unable to do anything cheeky near Zainhide, who's trying to push this up forward. Obviously, the catapults do make that a little bit problematic with the Night Camp as well, but
Greymane in that area too is so scary, Jake. You get that Hunter's Blunderbuss. Yeah, he absolutely does. The Greymane autos with that extra range, with that 20 upgrade.
It's scary.
Yeah, the Executioner style is terrifying. Just does so much damage. On the other side, though, you got Farflight Quiver, so lots of range damage from Scythe as well. But yeah, neither of these teams willing to choose that one. And Scythe Esports, they're on top, they're on bottom. Yeah, Simplicity need to react right away.
They're definitely slow here. Dahaka was playing way far back, trying to make sure he could not be a gank opportunity, even though Medivh had vision on. Now he's stepping up on the point to challenge the ETC.
Here we go. Dark Archon is polymorph as well. Tiger JK is on the front side of this fight. Nesper taking a lot of damage, Jake.
All right, Zuna looking for the Dragon. Zainhide with the armor coming through from Whitemane. K1 Pro doing his best to get that damage in, and Nesper does end up going down, but Hosty is super squishy. Can he portal his way out of here? Finds himself a shield, but they get another kill on Whitemane. Hosty goes down. Dark Archon doing work from behind, but Zergling is in such a terrible position here. Locked down. Greymane on the other side of him. Talking Trees goes down here, and just like that Simplicity, they managed to lose all 3 keeps, but win the fight. What can they do with it?
5-person team wipe. Simplicity only lose 1. You have a Greymane. Bottom side is opened up quite well. You have King Caffeine on this Arthas. He could just step up all day and tank this with the likes of Lucio. This could be game here. Simplicity moving in. They're going to be clearing up these minions. Greymane absolutely decimates structures, but at the same time, Simplicity have to back because of Dahaka and because of the core pressure.
Yeah, the catapults already bringing the core down to 79%, so no Dahaka available for this push, but that thwart has been dealt with. King Caffeine pretty low on mana, but Tiger JK going to be able to keep him healed up nicely, and Greymane starting to tear through. K1 Pro makes it through the shields.
Rushtalker coming through, but Dahaka is so far away. Vala is back up. Can she mount the defense? Nesper, is this your time to shine? These catapults are massive. If they do structure or hero damage, this could be the defense for Scythe.
Dive coming in. K1 Pro's damage has stopped. He has to back away, but it doesn't matter. Simplicity, bring it back and take the win.
Beautiful positioning by Hosty on that last team fight. He was on the top right-hand side, and he didn't die for so long. Yes, there was the damage match by the Tassadar, but those Qs just continually rained in, and the shielding, of course, was fantastic by Hosty as well. Simplicity, when they needed that fight victory, they found it and found the win.
Yeah, Zuna able to come in with the disruption onto Dahaka as well. Worked out for them when it mattered most. We can see the talents here, the builds these players used in that game.
Greymane as well, man. 6-4-0 with those numbers. K1 Pro, we were talking about his Toronto play, but his play in general tonight has been fantastic. Big numbers on the Greymane. The not dying was really, really important. They needed him not only for that team fight, of course, but if Greymane was the one to die in that fight,
they have no damage.
Yeah, exactly. There was no core attempt whatsoever.
It was huge, and you know, Hosty made some big plays on that Medivh. We always talk about his Medivh. He's very good with it. First time Medivh has made it through the draft to begin with, and that resource did end up being very meaningful. Some of those rotations they were able to find, some of those kills they picked up, all enabled by those portals and the Medivh, and of course, you can't count the shields.
Absolutely. Big value from that pickup. I don't think it's going to... It might make it through. You know, we said that it wasn't going to make it through at all, but I actually thought Scythe's response was quite good.
No, it didn't look like it was like the defining factor as to why they won necessarily, but it definitely was a impactful thing.
Absolutely agree. Next map. Wonder what it's going to be. Man, these fights and these teams are so close. Yes, we saw one pretty big snowball lead by Scythe Esports, but in general, this has been quite the series so far.
What do you think about the Arthas? We've seen it twice now. It's won twice now.
I think it's good in combination with the Lucio. Yeah, like as soon as they start winning in one of these fights, you just continually run in, and there's very little that anyone can do about it because he's got the move speed, he's got the constant slows with his E. It's really tough to escape, and of course, King Caff, being a massive veteran in this scene, is super comfortable on the hero because it's one of the oldest heroes.
Yeah. Well, it is time to find out what the battleground will be for game number 4. Kala, looks like we're going to Towers of Doom.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay, Simplicity, choose Towers. This is going to be a good one, as always.